Well, hello there, and welcome back to another J&J Tabletop video. My name is Jake, and today I'm actually making a video about the rules for drawing and stowing weapons. Many argue that you can, in the 2024 Player's Handbook, benefit from rules and builds that allow you to take advantage of wearing a shield, the dueling fighting style, as well as the two-weapon fighting style. So in this video, we're going to discover what those rules are, if those people are correct, and then at the end, I want to just kind of take a step back and look at the big picture and talk about just the rules update in general, what the intentions are behind these rules, and then, yeah, how you can apply that to your games. So stay tuned. We've got a good one for you. Now, the very first thing I'd like to clear up before there's any confusion moving forward, the rules for equipping or unequipping a shield requires you to use the utilize action. So it takes your entire action. So in every example in this video that uses a shield, there's really only going to be one example, but you're not going to be swapping the shield out in between attacks. That's just not how it works. I think a very logical place to start would be on page 361 underneath the attack action, because that's where we find the rules for equipping and unequipping weapons in between attacks. You can either equip or unequip one weapon when you make an attack as part of this action. You do so either before or after the attack. If you equip a weapon before an attack, you don't need to use it for that attack. Equipping a weapon includes drawing it from a sheath or picking it up, and unequipping a weapon includes sheathing, stowing, or dropping it. Most of the time, I see people get confused when they're like, every time you make an attack, you can equip and then unequip a weapon, and then you can do it before or after. And if you're a web developer like me, or you've ever done any coding, you know just how different those words and or are. And it's actually pretty simple. Every time you make an attack as part of the attack action, so this doesn't include bonus action attacks, you have two choices. Choice number one, you can equip a weapon, you can unequip a weapon, and of course, you could change nothing. And then choice number two, you do so either before you make your attack or after the attack. For both choices number 1 and 2, you're never doing both of them. It's one or the other. That's these either or statements that we keep seeing in the rules. Now, when we look at the dual wielder feat, which can be found on page 203, we see that you can draw or stow two weapons that lack the two-handed property when you would normally be able to draw or stow only one. So we're still working with the base canvas in terms of what our choices are, right? Choice 1, equip a weapon, unequip a weapon. When we add the dual wielder feat, it's equip one or two weapons, unequip one or two weapons, and of course you could change nothing, but you're still choosing to do one of those things either before you make your attack or after you make an attack. It might sound very wordy, but it's actually very simple in its concept. So let's take a look at an example for how this might play out at your table. In this example, we're going to be looking at a character that already has a shield equipped. They have the extra attack feature. They have weapon mastery with two nick weapons, a scimitar and a dagger, and then they have two fighting style feats, dueling and two-weapon fighting. Ironically, the dual wielder feat actually doesn't come into play here, but it doesn't need to. Let's take a look. The dueling fighting style feat says when you're holding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain a +2 bonus to damage rolls with that weapon. The two-weapon fighting style feat, when you make an extra attack as a result of using a weapon that has the light property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of that attack if you aren't already adding it to the damage. Okay, so here we are. Combat has begun. I've got a shield in one hand, my other hand is free, and it's my turn. I go up to my opponent, and I take the attack action. Since I don't have a weapon in one hand, the very first thing I need to do before I make my first attack is I have to equip my scimitar. Then, very simply, I'm going to attack with my scimitar. This attack will unlock the light weapon property attack, and this attack, if it hits, can benefit from the dueling fighting style since I have a melee weapon in one hand and I don't have another weapon in my other hand. Now, my second attack, I could choose to unequip my scimitar, but that would leave me without a weapon and I could only make an unarmed attack. So I'm going to attack with my scimitar, and then I'm going to unequip my scimitar because I need to use a different light weapon to take advantage of that additional attack. And this attack, if it hits, just like the first one, can benefit from the dueling fighting style. Now we come to our third attack, which has been converted to be part of this attack action thanks to the Nick Weapon Mastery property. I choose to equip my dagger, I attack with my dagger, and if this attack hits, it benefits from the dueling fighting style, again, because I have a melee weapon in one hand and I don't have another weapon in another, but it also benefits from the two-weapon fighting style because this naturally would not add my ability modifier to the damage, so that fighting style allows me to do so. So it turns out it's actually not quite as complicated as it might seem, but you can wear a shield, benefit from dueling, and benefit from two-weapon fighting. That's weird. That's janky. But would I allow this at my table? I mean, if you're asking me if I would allow rules as written at my table, I think the answer for everybody really should be yes. And if it's not going to be, you need to have these discussions ahead of time. But you have to be able to really be into micromanaging this. And in order to do this, you have to invest 2 fighting style feats. Now, I know like the champion fighter is going to get that one naturally, but other than that, you're going to have to, instead of getting a +1 to an ability score, as well as the benefit of another feat, like maybe Great Weapon Master, or that's probably a bad example because we're talking about two-weapon fighting, but the concept is sound. It actually is a little bit of an investment to do this, and ironically, it's just going to be for like an extra few points of damage in an attack roll. So is that worth it? I mean, you could debate that in the comment section if you'd like. Personally, if I was going to be benefiting from another fighting style, I'm probably going to just say like, all right, I have dueling, so I'm just going to take defense and get the +1 to my AC and be done with it. I also don't have as much interest in really micromanaging this. But why is this such a thing in the first place? Generally speaking, I kind of see this as there's 2 different people that are really going to be interested in what these rules are. The first kind of person is sort of in a way the kind of person that wants to take a toaster apart just so they understand how it works and then they put it back together. But it doesn't mean they're going to micromanage the toaster every single time they want to toast their bagel in the morning. They just want to understand what the rules are so that when they make decisions, they have all the information available to them. And to those people, I say, that's good. It's good to know how the game works. And then you've got the other people that are just really trying to exploit things. And like I said before, the investment in this really, it's a heavy enough of an investment that I just don't really see it as broken. But I think if we're going to take a step back and look at the intention behind these rules, I think it's just designed to allow players to benefit from the different kinds of weapon mastery properties that are out there. Do you want to be able to push someone and slow them down on the same turn? These are the kinds of things that I think Jeremy Crawford just had in mind when he was going for it. But if I take even another step back, we wanted maneuvers for marshals, and instead of letting us focus on things that my character could do, they put the focus on the weapon. So now we're in this whole situation where everybody is going to fixate on making sure you can change the weapon that you have equipped for each attack to take advantage of the cool things that you want to do. It's just a janky build. And when it comes to 5e, I've heard statements like it's everybody's second favorite system, and I don't necessarily agree with that. In terms of Dungeons and Dragons, it's definitely my favorite system. Does that mean it's the best? That's a question for the comment section, and that's something everybody's going to answer for themselves. But I do know that if you put all of the cool things that you want to do as a fighter or a ranger or paladin or what have you, if you put that in the weapon, everybody's going to fixate on the weapon rather than fixating on what my character can do. So I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Is this good for the game? Is it bad for the game? Is it something you will allow, won't allow? And then in the comments section, honestly, just be kind to each other. There's no point in being nasty about this. Everybody gets to play their game, their style. So Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. And Josh and I love to have these kinds of conversations and talk about deeper concepts in the game, so I'd encourage you to watch some older videos that we have that probably are on screen now. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care and have fun in your games.